Good morning. So good. Irish cream. So, I want to talk about getting ready the night before for your big day. It's very important. I used to say to my kids, go to bed because tomorrow's a big day. Get prepared. Now, I want to just talk about, I've talked about my morning routine when I wake up. But let's talk about my night routine or a possible having a night routine. I'm a very good sleeper. When my head hits the pillow, I had a big day and I fall asleep really quickly. But not everybody does. Not everybody has such good sleeping habits, or they, for whatever reason, they don't sleep so well. So I want to talk about what I do to go to sleep and before I go to sleep. First of all, I try to pick out my clothes for the next day in advance because I at least want to get an idea of how I want to set myself up. Do I want to look more powerful? Do I want to just be comfortable? Do I feel really pale and need to put some color into my life? Like, what am I trying to do with my clothes? Do I always want to, sometimes I just want to be comfortable. I always pick clothes that are comfortable anyway. So I feel like to start your big day, you should think about what you want to wear the next day so that you're not scrambling in the morning when you need to get out. If you don't have a time restriction, well, then it's not as big a deal, but I still believe that it's a good idea to pick your clothes out. Next, when I get into bed and relax, what I think about first, and I know some people say I could never do this, but I kind of fantasy eat. I think about all the things that I would like to eat or have by the side of my coffee, like a chocolate cruller or a Danish or a croissant, and all the comfort food I would like to eat. The only rule that I have is that once I start to fantasy eat at night, I can't get out of bed. Because if I do, then I really will eat it and really will get the calories. But the advantage for me of fantasy eating before I go to bed is it puts me in a good mood. I like to eat. I like to think about what I would like to eat. I like to think about fine dining. I like to think about good coffee, good beer. This is so good. So, I fantasied for a few minutes. And studies, this is really unbelievable because nobody would believe me when I used to tell them this, studies prove that if you fantasied, it's very satisfying. And I really do believe, Einstein said it, lots of people said it, that a good imagination is like more important than knowledge. So at night, before I go to bed, I fantasy eat about all the things that are going to make my body strong because in my fantasy, it's all healthy. Next, I think about what is my intention for the day, for the next day, because I'm very goal oriented and I have a lot of projects going on, and I want my mind to just set the intention right so that I always say that I'm a good manifester, and people don't know what that means, but it means that I'm preparing myself for success. And I think that's like a really important thing to do the night before I go to sleep, right before I go to sleep. The other thing I do, and I think this is really, really an important thing to do, is I just think about God, support, my family, energy. I just think about things that are going to comfort me. I have a worry time in the morning, so I don't worry at night, or I try not to, I should say. But I think it's important to think about all the things that are possible. Just like my fantasy eating, I fantasize about all the wonderful things that could happen the next day. And I think it's really important that you get a routine for yourself before you go to sleep, whatever that is, because that sets your brain up to know, okay, it's going to be sleep time soon. Sometimes I read in bed, sometimes I read poetry in bed. at night, my husband and I watch a comedy right before we go to bed. I think it's really important that you think about, and don't leave it to chance, that you're going to have a great night's sleep and think about the things you want to think about. A lot of times right before I go to bed, I write in my gratitude journal. I think there's a lot of things to do, but I'm not suggesting what you do. I'm just suggesting that each one of us makes their own routine. Our own routine before we go to bed. Just like I think it's important to have a morning routine, I think it's important to have a bed routine before you go to sleep. If you're just going to wing it, then your mind is just going to think about where it wants to go. But if you kind of set it up with comfort, and every night you begin to think about all the things that are possible the next day, every morning, well, not every morning, but most mornings, I jump out of bed so excited to start my day. But it really starts the night before, because I'm already thinking about what I want to create this day. So I think you should all start a daily routine for the night before you go to sleep. I would love if you told me what you thought about my fantasy eating if you try it. Does it make you go downstairs, or does it just make you hungry for breakfast? I don't know. Let me know. Have a really, really great day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.